the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it! Hits it!
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Marking the signals, takes it, hands off to Henry, starts right, then cuts it left, big lane, he's at the 15, the 10, the 5, touchdown. No flags on the play. Derrick Henry runs it into the end zone from 22 yards away.
First and 10 Colts at the plus 36-yard line. Going deep downfield. Alec Pierce, touchdown! That was a bomb from Gardner Minshew to Alec Pierce. Levis out of the gun, barking the signals, hands off to Henry. Henry jumps his way across the goal line for a score. 4-3 and outs today by the Colts defense. That's what they have forced. Fourth, and then the Colts block it. It's blocked, picked up by the Colts. Grant Stewart running the other way with a touchdown for the Colts special teams. Minshew rolling out to the right, checks it down, and it is tipped, intercepted. This is Amani Hooker. Hooker gets out of a tackle from Gardner Minshew. He's sprinting to the right side. He's down the 20. He's at the 15, 5, and he will score a two-point conversion. That's 2 points the other way.
Levis looking left to pass. Zips it upfield into the end zone, caught. And that's DeAndre Hopkins for a touchdown. And we are tied at 25 with 5:26 to go.
Tennessee 28, Colts 25 in overtime. Colts looking for their first 4-game winning streak since 2018. Minshew goes out of the gun. 3 receivers deployed to the right side. Backing a throw. Good protection. Hangs in there. Taking a shot for Alec Pierce. Down the sideline. Over the shoulder catch is made. Alec down to the 5 to the 4-yard line. What a throw by Gardner Minshew. And a terrific basket catch. Alec Pierce. First and goal down for the Colts. Minshew out of the gun. Shotgun snap. Looks to his right. In the end zone throws Michael Pittman. Touchdown. Touchdown Michael Pittman. Ball game. I-N-D-Y. Final score on the Ruoff Mortgage scoreboard. It's the Colts 31 and the Titans 28 in overtime.
There you go, Matt Taylor and Rick Venturi of the Colts Radio Network. And that was a wild game yesterday, and we have plenty of time to get to it. I'll get to it. My thoughts, get to your thoughts. We'll talk to Stephen Holder coming up at the 5 o'clock hour, maybe add some folks coming up here in a minute. But let me go ahead and set the stage. Hey, we're live on this Monday again with a lot going on here, too, because obviously there are a lot of games to be watching tonight. Not only the close to Week 13 of the NFL, but you also tonight have the Pacers in the quarterfinals of the first in-season tournament ever against the Celtics. Boilermakers in Iowa in West Lafayette. There's just a crap ton going on, and I feel the need to get to all of it with you today. But no, we are at a very familiar place. We are at Twin Peaks on the northeast side. That's 82nd and I-69. Very easy to get to. Great food, ice, and I mean ice-cold beer. And I haven't had it yet until Travis runs over there and then brings one back. Bloody Mary time for Daddy-O right here. That's what I hear. Bloody Mary time for Daddy-O on a Monday. Thank you, Travis. How in the world could I be without a Bloody Mary today after yesterday, too? Hey, by the way, I'd love to see you. Got plenty of seats right in front of me here. We can hang. We can get you signed up for stuff. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. And we can just go ahead and get you ready. They're celebrating the repeal of Prohibition, I believe, in here, going back to the 1920s. So there's some 1920s flavor. I didn't get the memo, or I would have dressed up like the Great Gatsby or something like that. Alas, I did not, but I'm ready. I'm ready for you to join us, and ready to talk about that game yesterday. Here's what's incredible to me. What's incredible to me is, and this team is 7-5, and now we have gone from, hey, hang in there and make it interesting. We've gone from that to, you know what? You better win these games, and you better get to the postseason, haven't we? Have we made that dramatic change? Because I felt yesterday, I felt the movement and the force a little bit here. I felt that dramatic change that we're making, where it's just, hey, it's a story, and it's December, and look, they're a game over 500. As of right now, they're slotted in the 7th position. I'm talking about last week, by the way, too. But, it was just like a story to make sure we don't have to start talking about the offseason. We are so used to around here and talking about during seasons crap that's going to go on in the offseason. And I've told you this, I've been up to here with it. I'm tired of it. I mean, we talk about off-season stuff in the off-season. I want to get back to talking about what the team's doing in season. And I thought yesterday that overtime win, and I know that they got a lot of help in the form of some ineptitude from the Titans. Actually, there was a point in that fourth quarter. See if you guys follow me on this. There was a point in that fourth quarter, right? Yeah. Thank you, Todd. Yes. There was a point in that fourth quarter to where I thought, all right, the Colts look like they want to go ahead and give this to the Titans. Or wait a minute. Is it the Titans that want to give this to the Colts? It was like a back and forth of who can screw up, who can do something wrong. But you know what's interesting about it? That's this team. That's this team in a nutshell. You know what else is interesting about it? That's this team's quarterback. How many times yesterday did you want to send Gardner Minshew packing? And I'll even go more so than that. How many times yesterday in the fourth quarter did you want to send him packing? And you know what? It's a damn good thing you didn't send him packing, because everybody was saying it. Everybody was saying it when he dropped back to make that pass, when they were tied in that final regulation possession, right? And disaster was this close from happening. And I think my tweet or X or whatever it was, I think I'm going to quote myself on this, if you don't mind. That sounds very arrogant. I don't mean to sound that way, but I'll quote myself on this. I said, what in the love of God are you doing here, Mania? And really, it's a combination. That was like, how should I put this? It was like Shane Shoe. That was Shane Shoe. Shane Shoe was Shane Steichen and putting Minshew in that situation. So, you know what? Let's just go ahead and kneel down and then go into the overtime. That's not Shane Shoe anymore, because there are two sides of this. There are two sides to the Shane Shoe. And you saw that at the end of the game. They had to navigate out of what was surely going to be disaster. You just saw it. And look how that game broke down. Look how they were tied in the first place, because the ineptitude of the Titans special teams almost got their punter killed. And then, by the way, got the special teams coordinator fired today. But the ineptitude of their special teams led to Ryan Tannehill coming in. And then, as we all thought was going to happen, you were going to force the Titans to score a touchdown. That's exactly what they did down the field. Levis, bits and pieces, a backup running back to Derrick Henry. He wasn't out there. I mean, things were falling into place, and what was about to happen? The Colts were about to screw it up. I know, same old story, same old song and dance. And the Colts were about to screw it up. But then, because they got their punter killed, Tannehill had to come in and hold for the extra point. I'll be honest with you, I didn't think his hold was bad, and I don't know what, other than catching the ball and putting it down and making sure that the place kicker doesn't hit the laces. I don't know what else. I mean, I guess it was Matt Ryan that mentioned the fingers is where he fingers down where he was going to put it. And they kept mentioning, and Andrew Ketelon was on with us last week, and they kept talking about the operation. I didn't see anything wrong with the operation. It looked like Nick Folk chunked it. It looked like he kicked the turf right behind it and then got the wide part of his foot. I'm breaking this down like I know. I'll be honest with you. I have no idea. All I know is the cut of the dry is he missed it. And that saved the ass of the Colts. That saved where we are in the season right now. Because can you imagine for a moment, right? Normally we're thinking the hypotheticals. We're so used to thinking the hypotheticals of, hey, what if the Colts would have won that? Or what if they would have done this right? What if they would have executed right here? We are so used to doing that, we rarely get the opportunity to think about, hey, you want to go back and think about what type of disaster would have happened if the Titans could have executed an extra point? Or if Shane Shoe and that disaster wouldn't, I mean, it was that close to happening. I'm just going, good Lord. And that's, to a degree, what this team is. But then I'm going to give you the positive side of Shane Shoe, and that is Shane Steichen hanging with him. When all of us, and I mean all of us, you're lying if you say you didn't. All of us were saying, oh, you know what, this is not going to work. This guy drives me nuts. This stinks. He's going to give it away, blah, blah, blah. You're all saying that about Gardner Minshew, and then he steps up and drops one, as they said on the broadcast, into the bucket. Just an absolute dime to Alec Pierce, yet another body we have written off already this season. I think we conveniently forget about with Alec Pierce. There's also part of this equation to where he has to be thrown the ball. It actually has to get somewhere in his general vicinity for him to catch it. And I think we forget about that aspect of it. But he gets them down because that whole overtime was nothing but the Titans grinding it out. And who out there, show of hands here inside the lounge via YouTube Live, felt that that's how that was going to go? They're going to grind this out and score a touchdown, or they're going to grind out this clock and not leave the Colts any other time, and they're going to be a host. Or you were thinking in your mind what? You were thinking, all right, so what does a tie do for this? Remember last year, the lack of fun we had trying to figure when it mattered. I mean, it's not like it mattered late in the season. Trying to figure out how useful or useless a tie was going to be. We were all thinking about, all right, so what does a tie do to the playoff opportunities and the chances right here? What is that going to do? And that's where we all were yesterday. And then Gardner Minshew stepped up. Shane Shoe, because he called the play, Shane Shoe stepped up and threw an absolute dime right on the money. And then we're not done. Oh, we're not done by a long shot, because this is the Colts. We're not done because this is the Colts. And you get down, inside the 5, around the 5-yard line, and you're thinking, how are they I know it's not just me. And I know that I have the heartbeat of the Colts fan going on here every day, Monday through Friday, 3 until 6. You were thinking about, how are they going to screw this up? What's going to happen? Is Shane Shoe going to get all cute here? And you know what? You had Gardner Minshew drop back and put it right on the money for, oh, look at Travis. Thanks, dude. Right on the money for Michael Pittman Jr., who, by the way, is going to join us on the show coming up tomorrow. Man, I'm going to dive right into that like you wouldn't believe. That's Travis, everybody, right there. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Right on the money to Michael Pittman Jr., and that was ball game. All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks, Travis. This is just how this team, by now, you need to understand this. I was talking to Tony Katz a little bit earlier. He was texting me back and forth during the game, and I was talking to him, and I said, this is just it. I had tweeted out or X'd out a picture at the end of the game. Remember when, and I don't know if a lot of you still, maybe you do, I haven't been in a long time. I think the last time I was at Kings Island, Bip Roberts played left field in a Reds game that I went over to watch a little bit later on that weekend. But I used to, as I'm assuming we all did when we were younger, go to Kings Island all the time. Every bus ride, every cool bus driver, every cool parents were these chaperones. We drove US 50 all the way to Cincinnati, went to Kings Island on school bus, an Eastern school bus, at the end of every single year. So we got used to those roller coasters. I got used to first the Racer. Hey, let's go backwards in the Racer. I got used to the Beast, and then got used to Cobra. I don't even know if these still exist. I don't think they do. Maybe the Beast does. You got used to Cobra or the Bat. You got used to a roller coaster ride. And I would tell you this right now, for the remainder of this season, hopefully you're used to this roller coaster ride right now, because it doesn't matter what quarterback they're playing, if it's a backup quarterback, if it's starting quarterback. It doesn't matter where the team is, in or out of the playoff picture, good or bad. This is going to be a roller coaster ride the rest of the way. And you can choose to go, wee, this is fun, or you could choose to puke all over who's sitting next to you. But this is exactly what it's going to be. It is going to be a roller coaster ride. And here's why. Because this team just isn't that good. This team is good enough, and certainly good enough given the schedule. And you know what? No apologies necessary. Nobody has to hand out any apologies for this crap. Oh, well, they're just getting in because their schedule's easy. So what? Who cares? They're doing exactly right now what they need to do. And you know what? When you do that, it's funny. We're so used to those stranger things happening around them for the negative. But what is so funny about that, when you do what you're supposed to do, sometimes you also, in other aspects, other avenues, you fall into good fortune. Like yesterday. I'm not looking. I guess I am kind of looking at that. I mean, now you've got Kenny Pickett, who I don't think's that great anyway. But, you know, if you want to face Mitchell Trubisky instead of Kenny Pickett week after next, then so be it here. I mean, it's not like you've had a great deal of luck over the years in the past against the Steelers anyway. You know, no Joe Burrow, the Jake Browning. But you also yesterday saw, for example, the Browns lose, the Steelers lose, and then the Steelers lost their quarterback for the next couple of weeks with ankle surgery today. The Broncos, which there's really no relatable connection other than AFC records going on right now, but the Broncos lose to the Texans. And you're going to say, well, I wanted to see the Texans lose. Well, to me, you don't, because you can control your destiny with that. The Colts have control. There's some control that they're gaining right now, which is what you want. You don't want other teams to have control of you. You don't want to hope or have to scoreboard watch and see what's going to happen here or there. So I thought yesterday could not have gone down any better. And always be reminded of this. This team is not that great. But again, there is oftentimes nothing more enjoyable, nothing more amusing, nothing more fun than being in this position in a season where everybody, including many in your own fan base, including most of us that cover you on a daily basis, had you written off at 6 wins. 6 wins or under, actually 6.5 and under, and not a chance in hell, even with that schedule, to sniff the postseason. Oftentimes, those kind of seasons to where you're the underdog the entire time, those are the best. And those are the seasons to where you really see something built. We saw that in Andrew Luck's initial season. I mean, it was like a stair step, and then it just kind of fell off. It was like, you know, it was like a cliffhanger and Price is Right. I mean, Andrew Luck was like the cliffhanger guy, and, you know, he's going up, and then, hey, postseason, and then, hey, you're winning the game, and then, hey, to the AFC title game, and then, hey, wait a minute, everybody's going to cry about a deflated football, and Andrew Luck's going to be injured, and you're going to go right over the cliff like the cliffhanger guy on Price is Right. But there was a growing, a maturing, and a winning, stair-stepping type of process. I've gone back to this years ago. When I used to be a Bears fan, I remember in the 1980s, it was similar. It was like you had to get over to take that next step. You had to get over to take that championship step. That's what the Bears had to do. The previous year, they were blanked by San Francisco, and Bill Walsh, if you remember, in 1984, sent out Guy McIntyre into the backfield, and Mike Ditka got all pissed about that, and that's why you got William Perry the next year in the backfield for the Bears. And then they had to take that next step. You had to get past San Francisco. San Francisco the year before clearly are better. You know, they go on, they win, and then the Bears in 85 that one-loss team to Miami in November that year on Monday Night Football, ended up being dominant in the postseason, and that was kind of that next step proposition. And that's where you get, I think, in a growing team like this. That's when the roller coaster ride can be fun. That's when the roller coaster ride can be enjoyable. That's when the roller coaster ride doesn't involve somebody at the end having to throw sawdust all over the mess that your partner made. You have to try not to make yourself sick because that is just where you are. Again, there's nothing really great about this team. Nothing really great about this team. Normally what they will do for you is hang around, and considering their schedule, that may be just enough. And then you get in the postseason, and what the hell, you see what happens, right? But as of right now, you guys are firmly entrenched. What are you going to call this? The beast? The Cobra? I'm way outdated in my roller coasters. I apologize with that. But that's exactly what you got yesterday. That's exactly what a lot of the season has been. There have been so many ups, so many downs. You're going to say, well, that's like a normal NFL season. There has not been anything normal about this season. But what is becoming more unusual for the good is the fact that this team is putting itself in position. Now, again, hey, we've seen them put themselves in prime position and blow it year before last. But that, again, is a part of what this team is made of. That, again, is what this team is directed by at quarterback. There are going to be some moments when you're on top and it's fun and you're going to go and you're going to corkscrew and you're going to throw up. That's who they are, and that's the team that you watched yesterday, and that's the team that's going to be around here for the remainder of the season. So I would just invite you to, as much as you can, try to enjoy the ride. And we'll still break it down. We'll be critical. We'll be positive. And yesterday was a huge positive. We'll talk about that. Again, Stephen Holder of ESPN is going to join us coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. James, jump on here really quick. Is Spero coming on here?
Yeah, he should be able to come on around 4:15.
4:15. Spero Dedes is doing TNT's broadcast tonight of the in-season tournament, the quarterfinals with the Pacers and the Celtics. We'll talk to Spero Dedes, who's becoming a fixture on this show, coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. And we've got me and you a lot of the way here regarding yesterday. If you guys want to get to the college football playoffs, we can do that. I don't know how much you really care about that. If you missed our conversation with Curt Cignetti, the new head coach of IU, it just kind of seems like that was his launching pad, and he just becomes more quotable as the days go by, which is exactly what IU needs. Exactly. Boilermakers at home tonight, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, against Iowa. Purdue on Friday night. Northwestern's pretty good. Boo Booey's pretty good. Brooks Barnheiser's pretty good. And when you're going to get shot-making ability from your guard, if you're Purdue, or really if you're anybody, but when you're going to turn it over that much, then you kind of get what you pay for. That's exactly what happened to them. They try to bounce back against Iowa coming up later on tonight. What else do we got? Shaquille Leonard has a new team. He has signed a one-year deal with the Philadelphia Eagles this afternoon. We will get to that as well. But I want your thoughts on the Colts, more in-depth about yesterday, but then looking ahead about what is to come with this 7-5 team. A 31-28 overtime win. That is a sweep over the Tennessee Titans yesterday. We can talk about that. The wraps on Week 13 is later on tonight. That is Jacksonville and Cincinnati. And by the way, the Bengals next up on the schedule. The Colts get the Bengals and Cincinnati coming up next weekend. And then we'll get into the Pacers and that in-season tournament. Hey, I'll give them credit. Bouncing back after that disappointment that I had to rip them for on Friday from Thursday night in Miami. They bounced back, got a win, put 144 on the board with Tyrese Halliburton, which is awesome. Now, what's not so good is, on the other hand, Miami put 129 on the board without Tyler Hero or Bam. That's not good. Defense continues to be a problem. And, of course, the Celtics put like a 150-plus spot on them earlier in the season. We'll see if they can find any resistance whatsoever against the Celtics at Gainbridge Fieldhouse tonight. All right, 239-1070 is the number. Email address is JMV at 1075thefan.com. Inside the lounge via YouTube Live, you can watch, you can listen, you can participate. I would love to see you here. We're on the northeast side, a familiar early in the month location at Twin Peaks, 82nd and I-69, with a big show planned for you. Stephen Holder, Spero Dedes. I'll tell you about tomorrow's show, which is going to be even larger, and a shout-out to my Sycamores coming up as well, with that one lost start and a couple in the Mo Valley this past week. And I don't even know what the hell the net is, but the net has Indiana State ranked 22nd. I'll take it. I don't know what the net is. I'm not going to try to figure out the net. IU fans hate the net. I'm going to embrace the net. 22 for Indiana State in the net. I think that's the first release of the net. That and more are coming at you. The stream, the app, HD radio. We're just getting started live from Twin Peaks on a Monday. It's 93.5 and 107.
With JMV.
Can you fly this plane and land it?
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, welcome back. Colts a winner yesterday. We're talking about that 7-5. Reps on week 13 tonight. Monday Night Football. The Bengals and the Jaguars. 'Tis the season to shine. The Shane Company, fine jewelry since 1929. Visit shaneco.com for fine jewelry made with the greatest care. Shane Company and shaneco.com, all a part of our Football Monday. Feels much better, right? When the Colts get themselves a win. Battle. Can you imagine the mood today if they lose that? I mean, so many different opportunities Tennessee was going to give you that you felt like that they weren't taking advantage of. I mean, deep in and turning the ball over, inside the 10, inside the 5, whatever it was, and then, having to settle after that fumble or what was supposed to be a block punt that turned into a fumble that got the punter killed. So many opportunities. You would have been seriously sick today had they not taken advantage of it. And again, this is not a great team. This team is 5-1 on the road. You give them credit for that. 7-5 overall. Not a great team, and they're going to give you that roller coaster ride. It's just up to you, whether or not you tend to enjoy it, or if you have moments like almost happened a couple of different times yesterday where that roller coaster corkscrew makes you want to yak. And there were a couple of times yesterday that you felt that way. It is so interesting to see this fan base, because there's like a myriad of podcasts out there right now. And I can't think of one off the top of my head, and it's not because I'm trying to be a crank. I just can't think of it right. But there are a ton of them, right? And yesterday, and I live in that world on X of they pick it for me, and about 50% of it is not at all for me, and I don't know why they pick it for me, but they pick it for me, or they call it for you, and they send it to me. It's for me. And I see all these different Colts podcasts, and everybody was wanting to trade Gardner Minshew about most of that game. And then after those final couple of passes, everybody got thrilled with it. That, again, is the ride that you're on right now. And I hope that they continue to do what they're doing, because this fan base needs to have a little bit of fun. I don't know how you felt. It is because that they won. It was like, you look back on that, and that was fun yesterday, even though during the moment there wasn't a lot of fun to be had. But so many opportunities. It looked like at the very beginning Derrick Henry was going to run roughshod over him. Colts just keep grinding away. All of a sudden, the special teams step up. To the point where Mike Vrabel fired his guy today. I mean, even think about this for a moment, too. I mean, the Colts go for 2, and, Minshew gets picked, and they take it back for a pick 2, which, honestly, a play like that probably should be worth more, but it's only worth 2. I realize that. But now it was an exciting game to watch, and the reason why you can say that today is because they won. It would have been one of the worst of all time had they lost. 7-5, and right now still the 7 seed. Cleveland and Pittsburgh at 5 and 6, and both of those teams lost yesterday. You can probably see a little bit more with Joe Flacco with the Browns, a little bit more without Kenny Pickett of the Steelers, a little bit more of that to come. We shall see. Spero Dedes of TNT and CBS is going to join us coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. You have, obviously, the in-season tournament quarterfinals tonight, Celtics and Pacers. That's at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. We'll talk to Spero about that. And Spero has seen the Colts so many times. We'll get his opinion on the Colts from yesterday with Spero Dedes. In the 4 o'clock hour, Stephen Holder, per usual, on a Monday in the 5 o'clock hour as well. 239-1070 is the number, live from Twin Peaks on the northeast side. The repeal of prohibition is what I just didn't dress. I should have dressed like I was in The Great Gatsby. Nobody told me. I dress instead like I don't have any gig, and I just got out of bed at about 3 o'clock. That's how I'm dressed today. All right, David's at 239-1070. David, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, what's going on, JMV?
David, what's happening?
Hey, remember I called earlier before the season started, and last year the Colts was picked to be a playoff team because because they was supposed to have a better quarterback. And I said, we got to quit being so negative. If we get better quarterback play, then we should be a decent team. And if we got better quarterback play in 2 games, we'd easily be 9-5, 9-3. And if we got better defense in one of them other games, we could be 10-2. You know, the defense let us down the Rams game. And Gardner, what you call him, Minshew?
Shane Shoe. No, Shane Shoe. Yeah, and sometimes it's for the good and sometimes it's for the bad. But it's a Shane Shoe, yeah.
Shane Shoe got us the Cleveland and Saints game. And then just even think about just a little bit better play out of Richardson and the defense in the first game, we win the Jacksonville game. So the Colts, you say they ain't a great team, but they a good team because they 5-1 on the road, and they sometimes overthink some of the things that they do here at the crib, and that's why they done lost some of them games. But it would have been a disappointing loss if they would have lost that game yesterday. The way they made the adjustments, after.
Hey, David, seriously, we've flipped the switch here. This has gone from I hope they remain competitive and give us something nice to talk about in December down the stretch to now your ass better be in the postseason, right? With this schedule, with where they are right now, we flipped that switch.
Yeah, for sure, because we always, kind of play a solid defense. We just always needed, our quarterback to show up. And then sometimes the defense let us down because they happen to do it too much. I don't know if you think I wanted to say to start drinking in my backyard for an in-ground concert. I would be available for the JMV takeover or whatever for the pool party at the house.
David, I appreciate your call. And, I'm not going to debate because there's really nothing to debate about. When David says they're good, yeah, he's right. They're good. They're good. Now, it also was magnified because the schedule in which they played. But you have to apologize to nobody about that. Nobody. Like, if I'm Florida State right now, I'm thinking, all right, what else do you clowns want me to do? And here's the other thing. When I talked to Kurt Cignetti on Friday, the new head coach at IU, because he had mentioned on Pat McAfee's show, and he was making fun of committees. Well, I make fun of committees all the time here. I make fun of committees all the time. And you're right. You're absolutely. There is nothing. There's like one committee that doesn't really screw stuff up. And you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. One committee out there that never is on the verge of screwing something up. That's it. But seriously, you don't have to apologize. It doesn't work that way to the NFL. You win those games, you're slotted in your conference as such, and you move along down the road. And then you get into postseason and you see what happens. You see what happens. Now, again, I will remind you, year before last, you felt pretty good going to the last 2 weeks of the season, and the Colts crapped the bed. And David had said, well, you hoped you had a better quarterback. Do you have a better quarterback? You have a better quarterback because he can throw and move and do things that an athlete needs to do, unlike Matt Ryan could a year ago. But he is bound to make a mistake, just like you also hope that he makes a play. And in the process, you hope that he stays away from turning over the football. You're not asking for a great deal right there. Don's up next at 239-1070. Hello, Don.
Hey, JMV, how are you doing?
Don, I'm fantastic. How are you?
Just great. Hey, I'm a number one Shane Steichen fan, but one thing that just absolutely drives me crazy, and it's not just him, but it's these coaches that chase points when they don't need to. If you realize if we would have kicked the extra point when we had the interception, that was a 3-point swing. We would have won the game by 3 points, and we wouldn't even have to go into overtime.
Yeah, well, listen, that's just how Shane Steichen's built. That's how he coaches, and that's what he's going to do. So you might as well get ready for that. And I think in terms, Don, of this, I think that if they would have screwed up and lost, we'd have been all over that today. But it doesn't seem like there's a lot of a need when you end up winning. Does that make sense to you?
Well, it does, but it's not just him. There's a ton of coaches out there that they.
I know what you're talking about.
The second quarter. I mean, wait until you're at the end of the game when you need to know whether you need the 2 points or not. Because I'm always a believer that if you have a positive play, you score a touchdown, and then you go for 2 points and you don't get it. You know, you ended a positive with a negative. I always want to end a positive with a positive. You know, it's all about momentum.
Yeah, you and me, and thank you, Don, for the call. Yeah, you and me would be hanging out in 1977 together, dialing on a rotary phone, because by and large, that is not at all what it's like anymore. It just doesn't reside here. I mean, hell, it's everywhere. Hey, before I get to a break, get back to your calls against Spero Dedes of TNT next hour. Stephen Holder of ESPN in the 5 o'clock hour, live at Twin Peaks. Eddie White of the Pacers is here. You on your way down right now?
On my way down. I had to come up to see you. What you're holding.
On the in-season tournament.
Yes.
I'm showing everybody,
it's
too.
It's a towel.
Yes.
The in-season tournament has the logo on it. As Pacers logo, it's gold. Those towels, every fan that comes to the game tonight is getting one of those. We want to make sure you had one, so you got.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Nice towel.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Win this one, and we go to Vegas.
I think the fans are embracing this end season for the first time here, especially when you're successful with it.
Yeah, nobody knew. Nobody had any idea. But I think the first domino to fall was when the coaches and the players embraced it. I mean, obviously, the regular season is important.
Yeah.
But they wanted to make sure that they could do something. And hey, we win tonight. We're one of the final, we're going to Vegas and one of the final four. Maybe you win this.
Well, they got to put up tonight to win, like 175.
Hey, they got your message, huh? That they got your message. I think.
Well, it depends on who you're talking to.
I think they may have FedExed your show the other night down there, and maybe they played it when they were walking around the beach listening to you. But what that was a hell of a game Saturday night.
It was.
Defense. We talked about it. The defense. I mean, the offense seems to always be there, but for some reason on Saturday the defense was there, and that led to the victory.
Shot to three well.
How about they shot your guy?
Yes, yeah.
9 to 10.
He continues to give you moments as to why he needs to be a part of this team.
Yeah, he's something special.
I was just thinking how well they shot the three. That is the difference in this era of basketball. If you shoot that well, you have to go other means and other lengths, sometimes of which is out of your reach to win games when you shoot the three well.
Yeah.
So, and we saw them, especially, really, Toppin knocked down threes. Bruce Brown was knocking down threes.
Bruce Brown had a great game. Yeah, they played really well.
Yep. All right, you got post-game show tonight, too, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. We'll and hopefully we win, and so it'll be fun. And, those are a lot more fun when you win. So we'll be
believe 144. And the Heat put up 129 without Bam and without Hero, and
this could be now. Boston obviously the best record in the Eastern Conference, but they're 9-0 at home, but they're 6-4 on the road. So on the road, they're beatable. So if we shoot the ball well tonight, I think the crowd's going to be into it. Tonight's going to be kind of a playoff type atmosphere. I could see a Pacers victory.
Eddie White right here. Thanks for the towel. Towels being handed out for the in-season tournament quarterfinals. Thank you, Eddie.
Be good.
Eddie White right here, Twin Peaks, Northeast Side, 82nd and I-69. We'd love to see you here if you want to stop by. Great food, ice-cold beer, great drinks. I've got the Bloody Mary right here as you guys are watching via YouTube Live. Spero Dedes, Stephen Holder, your thoughts on the Colts being 7-5, their position in the AFC playoff picture coming up. 93.5, 107.
that fast. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
So the Colts get a big break with a first down after the unsportsmanlike penalty. First and 10 Colts at the plus 36-yard line. Going deep downfield. Alec Pierce, touchdown! That was a bomb from Gardner Minshew to Alec Pierce. His longest catch of the season. It covers 36 yards, and the Colts answer right back. A big play. It's now 7-6.
Matt Taylor, Rick Venturi of the Colts Radio Network right there. That's a big deal. Of course, our football conversation every Monday afternoon right here. It's brought to you by the Shane Company. Visit Shane Company for fine jewelry made with the greatest care. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com. We're live at Twin Peaks today, 82nd and I-69. There is a celebration. There is a celebration of the 1920s here and the repeal of Prohibition. And they're dressed as such in here today, which is nice. You guys will enjoy it, I promise you. Join us for the Scratch Food, Monday Night Football. I mentioned Eddie White just joined us. You got the Pacers, you got the Celtics tonight, and the quarterfinals of the in-season tournament. Cambridge Fieldhouse, got Boilermakers in Iowa. Yeah, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, and Nick responds, and thank you, Nick, for this tweet. I think you can say the O-line and the pass rush has been great this year. This is not me being pessimistic, Nick, because you can look at certain moments. I think this offensive line, led by Tony Spero Jr., has been much better. I didn't think yesterday was one of its crowning achievements, if that makes sense. I think we have seen in games when the rush is there. When the rush is there, they close games. When the rush is there, it's better in the secondary. But I don't think it's altogether been something you can consistently lean on. But I get what you're saying, Nick. 239-1070. Matthew is in Maine. Hello, Matthew. How are you?
Hey, JMV. I'm great.
Good to hear from you. Go ahead.
All right. Before I talk about the Colts real quick, can I just say, because last weekend when I attended the Indiana-Maine women's college basketball game. First basketball game I've ever been to in person above the high school level. It was amazing, electric. The fact that you guys get to do this all the time, most of you probably take it for granted too. It was just wonderful.
Love it. I love it. I'm glad you had a blast in the state of Maine. What about the Colts? What's your take there?
All right, so it's the first time I've watched them in a couple of months, and I'm a little bit of a superstitious fan. So usually when I'm watching the game, my dog is sleeping. I don't know how because I'm usually screaming the whole time. But when they were in overtime, I forgot she had woken up and moved to the couch. I almost threw her off the couch because this team makes me so damn nervous.
Oh, well, a little superstition playing a role with Matthew and Maine, it sounds like here. Right?
Yep.
Yes,
Definitely.
there's nothing wrong. Hey, listen, there is nothing wrong with a little superstition. It keeps us all incredibly honest. All right? It does. I don't put a hat on a bed. And I don't even know if I just got that from Drugstore Cowboy. I don't know if that's a real thing or not, but I don't put a hat on the bed because I don't want bad luck. So there's nothing wrong. Superstition, at least a tad, a smidge, a shred, keeps us all a little bit honest, Matthew. Always.
Just wanted to make sure I wasn't alone with that. Do you think the Colts could actually win the division, realistically speaking?
I do not. Matthew, thank you for the call. I got to hit the top of the hour. I do not. I just think solidifying their place in the postseason is going to be good, and they're way too much to over. You'd be asking a lot. And Jacksonville already beat you twice. I mean, Jacksonville would have to pull an El Foldo of mammoth Jacksonvillian proportions here. But the spot right now is 7th for them in the AFC. And that can play right there. Quick break. We'll come back. If you're on hold, I'll get to you on the other side. 15 pass, Spero Dedes of TNT and CBS. He's got the call on the game. He and Greg Anthony tonight at Cambridge Fieldhouse. You've got the quarterfinal round of the in-season tournament with the Celtics and the Pacers. Spero joins us. Stephen Holder in the 5 o'clock hour. Twin Peaks, Northeast Side on a Victory Monday just for you, Colts fans. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Everyone is talking about Galaxy Concrete Coatings and their transformation. Like your neighbor Dennis.
In the process of refinishing
the cream of the crop, and there is no one that does it better.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
4-3 announced today by the Colts defense. That's what they have forced. Fourth, and then the Colts block it. It's blocked, picked up by the Colts. Grant Stewart running the other way with a touchdown for the Colts special teams. A block punt for a score. Picked up by Grant Stewart, who rumbles into the end zone for a touchdown. The Colts finally have the lead. It's 22-17.
Shout out to Brian Mason, who I believe follows me on Twitter. I need to give him a shout out on Twitter right there. A couple of big special teams plays. One that basically killed the punter. Tennessee. And by the way, got the special teams coordinator fired earlier today, too. Yeah, the Colts a winner, 7-5 right now. Still occupy the 7 hole in the AFC playoff picture, which is good. We're talking about that all day long. Twin Peaks, Northeast Side, Castleton. Would love to see you here. What a great spot for you. Ice cold beer, great beverages, great food. It is fun, especially with all the sports going on. So join us here. Big news, though. Former linebacker Shaquille Leonard of the Colts, a one-year deal with the Eagles. That happened this afternoon. So he will be a member of the Eagles. Eagles, who, by the way, got blasted yesterday by the 49ers. I was just talking to Daryl a moment ago here about the whole playoff in college football. I'm going to get back to your calls in just a second. But all of this chaos, which I know we all really soak up, enjoy, laugh about, whatever, especially if it doesn't involve your team. But all this chaos, all this ridiculousness is because Auburn only sent 2 against Alabama in that final play of regulation. They sent two rushers. 2 rushers. And I remember at the time, we were downtown at Coach's Tavern getting ready to go see Kiss, me and Chris Hagan. And Hagan said, and I'll give him credit where credit is due. He said, they're only rushing 2. This is going to end in a touchdown. And my man had forever to pick and choose. And I know it was still a good pass. Still had to make the play. But all of this chaos is because of that one single play. You got to love it or maybe you don't. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, I don't think they love it down in Tallahassee. But it's interesting. I mentioned, too, Colts a winner. You got the Pacers tonight. Pacers beat the Heat on Saturday. Yeah, a lot of you had said, did Eddie White just mention defense late? And he did, and here's why. Because the Pacers did hold the Heat to 31 in the fourth. Now, granted, I brought up they still scored 129. So I think the Pacers have to score 135 to win most games the way that they are right now defensively. And against the Celtics, you may want to even hold them to a higher offensive standard tonight. 144-129, and the Heat 31 in the fourth was the defense that Eddie White, when he was in here earlier, was talking about. All right. 239-1070. Email address is jmv@1075thefan.com. We are inside the lounge via YouTube Live. You can stream or check that. I'm sorry. You can participate, you can watch, you can listen inside the lounge via YouTube Live right there. James, you may want to help me out. Hopefully people are still on hold there. Jonathan has been waiting patiently. Jonathan, welcome to the show. Give me somebody here then. I don't know who's dropped a new.
Let's go with Bill.
Bill, thank you for joining the show. Bill, how are you?
Hey, man, I'm doing great. Boy, I'm missing out up there. You know what I always say every time I go up there?
Yes.
The only thing better than one peak is Twin Peaks. So
there's no doubt about that. And you're missing it today. I missed you on Friday at West Side Pub. Had an outstanding time. You've got to get back in the swing of things Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, I've been in a bit of a slump, but boy, I'll tell you, the Colts have not, and Reggie Wayne is still the receivers coach or a consultant or a coach for the. So
coach,
I want to give him a lot of credit for Alec Pierce. I mean, the best part about that bomb play was not only the actual catch, but the fact that he had 2 arms on that. He was hugging that football, and there was not going to be a turnover. And I sat and when I watched the conclusion of that play, I was thinking, the Colts will go only as far as the amount of turnovers that they commit. So I think that's the entire key, because these guys can play. They might say they can't play. I mean, and Minshew's having a good year. He's having an excellent year, and that 1 2-point conversion that went the other way, that was set up real well. It was thrown too high. That was when you should go to that old shovel pass.
See, I thought that he threw across his body into all kinds of trouble. And it was tipped, as Derek was saying. Hey, I will say this, Bill. I look at it differently. I think that you have to judge, because that's just how he is. I think you've got to judge him play to play. It's just like you almost judge the Colts game to game, even the win streak. But you have to judge him play to play, because you really don't know whether you're going to get, the Minshew at the end of the game with Pierce and with Pittman Jr., or you're going to get the happy feet in a pocket that's nice and clean and making a bad decision. And, both of them are in the category of Shane Shue. So Shane Shue can be a good thing. Shane Shue can be a bad thing. And at the end of the game yesterday, it was a good thing.
It was a good thing. And in conclusion, then I'll get off, Michael Pittman Jr., a lot like Reggie Wayne. I see a lot of Reggie Wayne and Michael Pittman Jr., but a strong receiver, and a couple of the catches that he made.
A dog. Yes.
He really is. So he's got to be on the All-Star team this year as well. So
he is a dog. He plays hurt. Thank you, Bill, for the call. I'll see you on Thursday and Friday. Now, Michael Pittman Jr., who's going to join the show tomorrow, he's a dog. He is. I mean, he shows up and plays. He fights, plays through it, plays with pain, plays with injuries. He's exactly what you want. I will say with Alec Pierce, too, it's been more about the ball being able to get to him. And I think to a degree, most of us have been incredibly unfair. I know I have. I mean, I know we've said, hey, is this guy a bust? And I don't think that we have seen him be given an opportunity. And this is with Minshew, too. Again, you got to be careful about how you look at this entire thing. It's a 7-5 team. It's a good team. But that is where it is. And it has to rely upon creating good fortune for itself and not undoing itself. That's where it is. I mean, when you look at the games, you look at the losses, how many of those losses would we just view as the Colts screwing themselves? You just can't do that. There were moments yesterday we thought they were going to, but it kind of seemed like in the fourth quarter it was Tennessee or it was the Colts. Who wanted to give this thing away more, or who wanted to win it more, if you want to look at it in terms of positive? And either way you look at it, it was the Colts. I mean, Tennessee had those special teams flubs, and obviously would have probably won the game if it not been for, what happened on the extra point. And everybody was getting on Ryan Tannehill. I didn't know it was Tannehill's fault. I thought it was Nick Folk. He just kind of chunked the kick a little bit. It's the way that it looked to me. But as I advised you in the opening segment, he's got to kind of hang on and take this roller coaster for a ride a little bit. Simon is at 239-1070. Simon, welcome to the show.
Hey, John, thanks for taking my call. Listen, I'm kind of pissed here because Bill's just stole my entire take. I think Reggie Wayne is doing a fantastic job in that room. I've even heard on like a couple of interviews or whatever, Shane Steichen saying he can hear him in the next room coaching him up. I just think, like Bill said earlier, I like how Pittman gets down. That resembles so much of Reggie Wayne. I think he's really doing a good job. And obviously he coaches like he played, just, understated, goes out, does his job. He's got those guys playing really well. And I'm interested tomorrow to hear, hopefully you can ask, Michael Pittman about how Reggie is as a coach. I'd like to really get some insight on that, but I feel the same way, Bill.
Yeah. No, we will bring that up yesterday. Simon, thank you for the call. Well, we'll bring it up. I should say tomorrow. We'll bring that up tomorrow. See, I didn't notice I was doing it this way. JMV, please give up the Minshew bashing. He is winning. keeps it exciting. And who else would you rather have as a backup? I wouldn't have anybody else as a backup or come back in there or come in to start for him. All I'm doing is telling you the truth. All you've got to do is go back to midway through the fourth, and even those that say everything glowingly and lovingly about the Colts on the internet were all over him. I'm like the voice of reason because I don't say anything. I know exactly what he is. He's exactly what I said that he was, and there's not a damn thing wrong with it. What else would you expect? He's not going to roll around out there like he's Joe Montana. And there's nothing wrong with saying for this team to succeed, he can't get in the way. He can't make the mistake. That's exactly how this group is built right now. So this has nothing to do, Walter, with, would you rather have Flacco or would you rather have, Zach Wilson or Matt Ryan? Nothing to do with that. I know exactly who they have, and I've explained who he is to you. Who he is and exactly what he is. He just has to sidestep those landmines of making mistakes. And believe me, I don't put it all on him. That's why I mentioned Shane Shue. Because Shane Steichen can put him, as much as everybody loves where they are at 7-5, and you start talking about Coach of the Year, there have been some moments to where I'm sure Shane Steichen would like to have a play call or two or a series or two back. Nobody wants to replace him. Well, I'm sorry. Most Colts fans did about halfway through the fourth. But that's just the way that it is. And that's why I explained it as such. It is a roller coaster ride. And you just got to hope that this team gives you more of a thrill than makes you want to yak. That's the way that it is. That's the way that it is with this team. That's the way that it is with this quarterback. All right, 239-1070 is that number. My man Fulton has been waiting. Hello, Fulton. How are you?
Hey, great to see you, JMV.
Hello, Fulton.
Getting ready for basketball pretty soon.
When do you start playing, Fulton?
We have games until January, but we're still getting ready for it. But my old basketball coach is back.
Good for you.
Coach Simon, he is, his brother does a sportscast on Special Olympics Memphis County sports website, radio show. He does his own sports, and he talks about us to make sure we do great for this season.
My friend, you have a great basketball season. Keep in touch. Tell me what you're doing. Tell the family I said hello.
I will. And make sure you tell Michael Pittman that I said hi for me.
I absolutely will tell Michael Pittman you said hi. Absolutely.
Hi.
Thank you, Fulton. That's our friend Fulton right there. Michael Pittman Jr. joins us on the show coming up tomorrow. And no doubt I'm going to tell him hi from you, Fulton. Spero Dedes coming up in a couple of minutes. Ethan is next at 239-1070. Hello, Ethan.
Hey, JMV. How you doing?
Ethan, I'm great. Go ahead.
Awesome. I don't want to sound starry-eyed or anything, but I just wanted to take a second and step back and appreciate kind of the fact that both our pro sports teams are finally having success. I know we've been waiting and lamenting for years now for both of them to blossom, and we're kind of witnessing it. And I know things might not shake out how we want at the end of the year, but just wanted to acknowledge the good old days while we're in them where, we're not bad, but we're not how you always say with the Colts teams of the past where you roll out of bed 13-3 and wins aren't as exciting because they're expected. I think this is just kind of that sweet spot where we get to see them grow and stuff. And if AR comes back next year and we're a juggernaut like I think we really could be, then I think we'll always look back fondly on this year. And I just wanted to kind of point that out and appreciate it no matter what happens.
Ethan, thank you very much for the call. Ethan's right about that too. Normally when you have a team that has been written off or like me, suggesting they wouldn't win over 6 games and now are firmly entrenched into December in the playoff picture, oftentimes that is more enjoyable, more exciting than if you are a predominant favorite. That and more coming up in a minute, and more of your calls. Stephen Holder of ESPN after 5. Joining us now, he's got the TNT broadcast. You know what? He just can't escape us, whether it's CBS doing the Colts or TNT during the Pacers and the Celtics tonight in the quarterfinals of the first in-season NBA tournament. Spero Dedes joins us. Hello, Spero. How are you?
Hello, John. When I got this assignment, my first call was to your producer saying that he's got to get me on the show because it wouldn't be an official trip to Indianapolis if I didn't come on with you.
I got to have you. I think you're at a point now where you got to buy some property here, don't you? Right?
Yeah,
you're here so much.
I am scouring real estate trends in Indianapolis.
Hey, what? And I know you're preparing for the quarterfinal round matchup with the Celtics and the Pacers tonight. What's been your impression on the enthusiasm around the league with this first in-season tournament?
I love it. I really do. I just think that the league had to do something, John, because look, we're not into the dog days of the regular season, but clearly this is a time of year where the NFL is still king and will be, obviously, until the Super Bowl. But the league, you've got your TV rights deal coming up. They've got to do something to drum up interest. So what do? We create this in-season tournament, a format that has been highly successful in international soccer overseas for years and years. And look, I don't think it's a perfect system. I think there's a little bit of a schedule imbalance that the league is going to have to address after this year. But just in terms of TV ratings, in terms of the eye test, I mean, these guys are competing like these are playoff games. We did Boston Orlando in a group stage game a couple of weeks ago for NBA TV, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, Orlando, the place was jumping. It was sold out. Guys were. If a guy could play, he played. There weren't guys just sitting out. There was no load management. So I think it's solved or at least alleviated a lot of the issues that the league has so far. So I think they're off to a really good start.
There's Spero Dedes who joins us. He's got the call. Greg Anthony later on tonight on TNT of this quarterfinal round matchup with the Celtics and the Pacers. Obviously, the Pacers have to forget the first meeting of the season, which did not go well whatsoever. And this Pacer team, Spero, is guarded on the reg. Absolutely nobody, but can outscore a lot of these teams. Is that going to be the fashion in which you think you and Greg are going to call game-wise tonight?
Probably. I think, knowing Rick Carlisle the way I do a little bit, I'm sure this has been difficult, to watch this team struggle to defend to this level. But this is kind of the NBA, John. I mean, granted, they're not defending at a pretty eye-opening clip, but this is the way that the league is played now, this wide-open, three-point happy style, and they just have kind of perfected it. And they've built this team in this manner. Now, will this be the final product of what this team looks like in the next couple of years? Probably not. I think they're going to make some changes. Maybe even they make some changes at the trade deadline. But for what they are now, this is a team that they're trying to rebuild. In a lot of ways, it's kind of similar to the Colts. They're coming off a couple of bad years, with the Colts last year, kind of a debacle. Now, I think Rick, in the last couple of years, has tried to fix the culture, kind of rebuild the culture around this franchise here in this, great basketball state. And I think he's accomplished that. I think Halliburton is just a guy that you automatically root for, the way he plays, the manner with which he plays, his style. And it's just a really good, solid core that I think Kevin Pritchard and his staff have put together. Now, again, I don't think it's a finished product by any stretch, but I think compared to where they've been over the previous however many years, I think this is a team that clearly is on the rise.
He is Spero Dedes of TNT. They got you in the quarterfinal round with the Celtics and the Pacers tonight at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. No Kristaps Porzingis, the effect that could ultimately have on the Celtics on the road here in Indy tonight.
Well, clearly it's not the same team. Porzingis is an elite player. I think he's on the way to rehabilitating his reputation around the league. He's a guy that obviously started incredibly well. They were calling him a unicorn his first year plus in New York. Then he suffers the ACL, and he's struggled to get back to that elite level. But I think last year he started to rehabilitate himself in Washington, and this year at least the first couple of months of the year, John, he looks really good, and he looks to be a really good fit. I have to admit, I didn't know how he would fit. It's a blue-collar town in Boston. They love defense, but he just has fit, and I think the reason he has is the Drew Holiday addition. Holiday, to me, is the key because he's a rare superstar that can defend, maybe the best defender in the league inch for inch, and he doesn't need the ball. He doesn't need a shot to keep him happy. And so I think he's a perfect fit for this team. He's kind of a defensive unicorn with the versatility that he brings. And I just think when you get to the end of the season and you've got Jaylen Brown on one side, you've got Jason Tatum on the other, Porzingis in the middle, and now Holiday running the point, that's going to be a tough team to contend with. The only question for the Celtics is the end of their bench. Will they be deep enough if this team gets hit with injuries over the course of a season? But 1 through 6, this is probably the best team in the NBA.
Spero Dedes has the call tonight. I know you're going to get out of here in just a second. I did want to ask you about the Colts. Now, do you know your assignments this weekend for CBS?
Yes, we are headed to Atlanta for the Falcons and the Buccaneers.
I thought sure you just stay here for the week. How do you not just stay here for the week?
I requested, but I think there's something with taxes. If you spend too much time in a certain city, you have to pay taxes in Indiana.
Yeah,
so
you could just drive down 74 and go to Cincinnati, man, and call the game right there. Hey, what do you make, before I let you go here, what do you make of the 7-5 Colts just kind of doing with their schedule what they had hoped to do, just hanging around, winning some games, nothing spectacular, but doing just that, like they did yesterday in Nashville? What do you make of this team right now, entrenched in the AFC playoff picture?
I think, John, we touched on this last time we talked. I think whatever happens the rest of the season, this has been an unbridled success for year one under Shane Steichen. I just think we have to – you always have to keep in mind what last year was like and what a debacle that was. And to rebuild the team the way they have, to now know that you likely have your franchise quarterback. I mean, that's the biggest box that they needed to check. That appears to be the case. Hopefully they can get him healthy and he comes back strong and ready to go next year. The culture, the way that he's changed overnight, I just think this year was all about let's just fix the culture. Let's fix the vibe around this team. Let's make Indianapolis be a destination where potential free agents and other guys around the league want to come to, the way it was here for so long with Peyton Manning and that whole crew. So I think they've taken a big, big step in that direction. And if this team can somehow sneak into the playoffs, holy cow. I mean, it's a smashing success. Whether they get in, whether they don't, I just think to be a Colts fan, I think is you're in a really good spot right now. Just enjoy the season. They're playing with house money, and let's see what they can do.
No doubt. And I'm assuming we'll see you back here relatively soon. Tonight, TNT. It's with Greg Anthony. Spero Dedes has the call of the Celtics and the Pacers and the quarterfinals of the in-season tournament in the NBA at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Yeah, I appreciate it. I know you got a lot of work to do, man. Thanks for jumping on here. Enjoy that game later on tonight, and I'm sure we'll catch up here as we get closer and closer to the end of the regular season. Thanks, Spero.
Thanks, John. Always a pleasure. I'll talk to you soon.
Spero Dedes, CBS, Spero Dedes of TNT on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Thank you for jumping on here today, too. Again, it should be fun at the Fieldhouse tonight. We'll double back to that Saturday matchup down in Miami. 144 on the board. Pacers win. Get to that coming up on the other side. More of your Colts conversation at 239-1070. Please jump on, and we'll talk to you. Stephen Holder in the 5 o'clock hour. We're live at Twin Peaks on the northeast side on a Monday that finds the Colts 7-5 and the 7 seed of the AFC playoff picture, and an overtime win over Tennessee and a sweep over the Titans in 2023. Back to that and a lot more. Twin Peaks, northeast side, looking for you on 93.5 and 107.
David Letterman. Hi, David. I'm Grandpa.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Tennessee 28, Colts 25 in overtime. Colts looking for their first 4-game winning streak since 2018. Minshew goes out of the gun. Lead receivers deployed to the right side. Backing to throw. Good protection. Hangs in there. Taking a shot for Alec Pierce. Down the sideline. Over the shoulder catch is made. Alec down the 5 to the 4-yard line. What a throw by Gardner Minshew and a terrific basket catch. Alec Pierce, first and goal now for the Colts.
Goodness, what a throw and catch.
Matt Taylor, Rick Venturi, Colts Radio Network. Alec Pierce, the big play in overtime. A couple plays later, Michael Pittman Jr., who's going to join us on the show coming up tomorrow, who has just been, to me, outstanding. Michael Pittman Jr., the score, and in overtime, the Colts beat the Titans. Colts 7-5, 7-spot AFC playoff picture as of right now, and there is still a lot to talk about. Twin Peaks Northeast Side. Hey, I'm right here, guys, everybody. YouTube Live inside the lounge. Hopefully you guys are watching, participating. Stuff like that right there. I-69 and 82nd Street is the location. Couple of things. After the debacle that was yesterday for special teams in terms of the Titans, they fired their special teams coordinator, Craig Aukerman. He was relieved of his duties earlier today. And I know a lot of you are wondering, because Purdue, Iowa play tonight, IU and Michigan tomorrow night. Hoosiers look good against Maryland going back to Friday night, and the Boilermakers had a rough one in overtime and losing their number one spot. Arizona is now the number one team in the nation. Boilermakers lost to Northwestern on Friday night. Boilermakers get Iowa tonight, and IU on the road tomorrow in Ann Arbor versus Michigan. That is Jack Collinsworth and Steve Bardo on NBC. Check that on Peacock. It wouldn't matter because local, at least for me, obviously I have DirecTV. I'm getting screwed over by Channel 13 WTHR in major fashion right now. Both that and DirecTV. Honestly, you guys can both get screwed. I'm not doing a damn thing. Whatever. You guys just piddle around, screw around, and drive everybody to find other sources. Both of you. And I would say that about anybody around here. Whatever. So Peacock is where you can find Jack Collinsworth and Steve Bardo on the call of IU and Michigan tomorrow. Lord have mercy. Seriously. I don't mind Steve Bardo. I know everybody hates Steve Bardo around here. I guess it's probably because I'm one of those guys. He's good to me. I've always liked him. I haven't had him on in a while. I know everybody's complaining about Jack Collinsworth. I've never heard him do a basketball game, so I have no idea. That is tomorrow night on Peacock. So I guess I'm supposed to go ahead and log on and buy Peacock to watch that tomorrow night. I'm not going to budge. You guys have given me great advice, and I'm a part of the problem. I will readily admit that. I sit here before you, once again, via YouTube Live. I'm a part of the problem. Man, I'm telling you, what a pain in my ass. What is it, like 24 years I've been with DirecTV, and they jack around with us all so much, and then Channel 13 acts like, yeah, it's not our fault. Yeah, it is. It's all your fault. Screw you guys. Seriously. I love Dave Calabro, but, I mean, hell, they only give Dave Calabro 5 minutes of sports time a week anyway, the way that it is. Got to sit there and watch 19 people do stinking weather every day. So, the hell with that. That's where we are right now. No NBC. There was no Sunday Night Football last night. Thank you very much. If you have DirecTV, I don't know what else. Who else gets kind of screwed in this, but it is comical. And I will readily admit I am a part of the problem. Hey, but Colts fans, no problem whatsoever. Colts 7-5, you're excited, and I'm glad that you're excited. It is a roller coaster ride, and you might as well jump on and try to enjoy it. Yeah, fourth quarter yesterday was just a classic of exactly what I've been talking about all day. And you know what? As an end result, it turned out good for you, the Colts fan. Turned out good for the Colts. Josh Schertz is the head coach of Indiana State. He's going to join us tomorrow. Indiana State and whatever this net thing is, right? Should I break down and kind of figure out what it is? I guess I should if it has Indiana State ranked 22nd in the nation. They come off a win over Bradley on Saturday in convincing fashion on the road, 2-0 in the Mo Valley. One-loss team so far. Josh going to join us on the show tomorrow along with Michael Pittman Jr. Right now it's 239-1070. My man Ray is on hold and ready to rock. Ray, hello.
I'm doing lovely.
Ray, I need a new phone here. Are you ready to rock? You ready to rock me with a new phone? Because I think Apple. I think this is the time of year when Apple slows me down because they want me to buy something else.
Well, I got to go in and I'm going to purchase me an Apple Watch. I think it's the Series. I can't remember what Series. Heck, it's not even for me. It's for someone else. But I have to go in and get one of those. And, JMV, depending on how my pocket's looking, how things go with the Pacers tonight, I may be sitting on a couple of extra $100. So I may.
How in the world could you place a bet? How could you place a bet on the pay? I mean, there's a wide berth, is there not, with trying to wager money on a Pacer game right now? What is it? Are you taking like over 135 and they win, or what?
No. I have better luck with the player props. I stay away from the money line and things like that.
I would too. Yeah.
A $5 bet for Obi Toppin and Bruce Brown to have over 20 points the other day was sitting at about $300 for me. So I got that in. So that wasn't too bad. So, you get good value. It all depends what you get and where you get it from, different sports books. But I don't want to get into that. I want to talk about those Colts. And I was just wondering something, JMB.
Yeah.
What is Bullseye doing this year for the playoff game that we're going to have? Are they doing something special?
Well, I mean, they will. They will do it on the fly, but oh hell yeah, they'll do something special. There's no doubt they're going to do something special.
I'm hoping for a trip to Miami or something.
Well, yeah,
my dream.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming they'll do something special. It'd be much better if they had a home playoff game, which. Yeah, I don't know if you're going to expect that, but I'm assuming that Kyle Kennett will have something special to do. Yes.
Well, the Jaguars are about one win above us, so, anything happened tonight. So, hey, let's keep hope alive, baby. But I do want to know this on a more serious note. I don't know who to talk to about this, but for that Steelers game, I'll be down there in Touchdown Town. You'll see me as usual. But I heard Purdue has a game over at Bankers Life at around the same time. And I'm wondering, is that going to be moved, or are they going to coordinate that?
No, that's a Saturday. And the Steelers and the Colts, and then that Saturday afternoon is Purdue and number one, as it stands right now, Arizona. So, no. It'll just be one hell of a big day. You'll be jumping around all over the place for that on a Saturday.
I wonder will they pump in any highlights from into the stadium about it?
They'll make it fun for you. There's no mistake about that. They'll make it fun.
All right, John. I appreciate you. I'll see you in about a week.
I'll be looking for it. I need a new phone, man, because the Apple people are slowing this thing down for me right now. So I'm ready for a new one. You got a good deal for me?
I might just get you a flip phone. That seems more like the key right there.
That's about the technology I need right here. Gotcha. Thank you, Ray. I appreciate that's T-Mobile Ray right there. I'm trying to work a deal. Hey, Derek, is that true? Do you think do they slow your phone down whenever they're ready for you to buy another one? I'd be doing that too. I can't lie. I'd probably do it too. JMV, why don't you get YouTube TV? I'm just here to complain about it, I guess. Seriously, I am such a part of the problem. If I would get up off of my dead ass and do something, then I wouldn't have to sit here and complain. Or at least until there was time to complain for something, because there is nothing good. Universally, there is nothing that is going to be perfect. Nothing. It is all going to be screwed up. I know a lot of you last night were getting a hold of me. I can't watch the Sunday night game, Green Bay and Kansas City, because Channel 13. And Channel 13 points the finger at DirecTV, and DirecTV points the finger at not local affiliates, but those companies that own the stations. In this case, I think it's Tegna. Honestly, though, 13 hadn't been any good since it was owned by that place over in Columbus anyway. Full disclosure. That's true right there. That's when they lost touch with Peoples. So I think it's Tegna now or something silly. So it's both their faults, and then I'll lump myself into it. It's my fault, too. So, yep, didn't get to watch that last night, and somehow, some way, I've got to go somewhere tomorrow night and watch IU in Michigan. I got to find somebody that has Peacock. Dev, do you have Peacock? You do? Son of a gun. Hey, James, you got Peacock at your pad?
I don't think so, no.
Derek, you got Peacock? Oh, man. Son of a gun. Me and Peacock tomorrow night. Hey, busy night tonight. Spero Dedes joined us a little bit earlier from TNT. He and Greg Anthony had the call. This is the first in-season NBA tournament going on. Quarterfinals. The Celtics and the Pacers tonight at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Eddie White stopped by a little bit earlier. If you guys didn't see this, the Pacer in-season tournament towels you'll be receiving tonight looks exactly like this. Thank you very much. David George tells me he has Peacock. Can I pirate your Peacock? That sounds bad. I didn't mean to make it sound like that. In-season tournament towel before you if you're watching via YouTube Live right now. All right, Twin Peaks, our location. We've got Stephen Holder, top of the hour. More of your thoughts on this Colts team and the absolute amusement park roller coaster ride that you got not just in the entirety of the game, but especially in the fourth quarter and in overtime. More remarks on that. Pacers tonight. Just a whole lot more on a busy Monday for you live at Twin Peaks, 82nd and I-69. It is 93.5 and
And motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, they all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Second down and goal at the 4.
Yeah, they did double slant. They had Pittman in the slot, him outside. I would just love a move Pittman around and get him on a rub route on their man-to-man coverage. They're going to be in tight man here. Get Pittman in motion and get him free.
2:34 to go in overtime. Second down and goal at the 4. Minshew out of the gun. Shotgun snap. Looks to his right. In the end zone throws Michael Pittman. Touchdown! Touchdown, Michael Pittman. Ball game. I-N-D-Y.
That's Matt Taylor, Rick Venturi, the exciting ending in the overtime. Colts a winner yesterday. We've been talking about that today. Stephen Holder adds a little bit more insight of ESPN coming up after 5. Spero Dedes of TNT. You've got the in-season tournament quarterfinal with the Celtics and the Pacers tonight at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Eddie White was also here, and if you're watching via YouTube Live right now inside the lounge, this is the towel you'll be getting if you're going to the game this evening. So you can check that out here. Twin Peaks is our location today. Thank you all for joining us. Twin Peaks, where it is Repeal of Prohibition Monday. And everybody's dressed in their roaring 20s type of outfits, which, I think Derek over there approves. You know, I mentioned Apple in my phone and needing a new phone. Eric Alper, who is a really good follow, I don't think I follow him, but I see his stuff. He just tweeted within the last hour, Forrest Gump's $100,000 in Apple stock would now be worth almost $49 billion, making him the 22nd richest man in the world. Forrest Gump would be the 22nd richest man in the world right now if it wasn't, fictionally speaking, as it was in 1994 with Forrest Gump, the $100,000 in Apple stock he and Lieutenant Dan had right there. $49 billion. He'd be the 22nd richest man in the world. That is pretty awesome right there. Andy's at 239-1070. Andy, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good, John. How you doing?
Andy, I'm fantastic. Go ahead.
I love the in-season tournament, but I hate those stupid floors. They remind me of years ago, was it 20 years ago, Heinz came out with the green ketchup. Tasted the same, but I hated it.
I just don't want it to become a slip and slide like it has so far this year. I like the visual is much less to me than watching Buddy Hield bust his ass out there going for a loose ball. That's the part I don't like.
Right. It could be funny as long as they don't get hurt.
Yeah, the old slip and slide thing. What do you think about it? It is kind of silly, isn't it? I mean, all that work for that, it is kind of silly. I would agree. But like I said, the visual doesn't bug me as much as I don't want to see these guys tear a hammy or anything, jacking around for a loose ball on that slick floor. That's the thing that worries me.
Especially when they're supposed to, they got this tournament to make everything for the NBA greater, and everybody hates those floors. But can I ask you a general NFL question?
Go, yes, Andy, yes.
Why doesn't, on special teams and on offense, why doesn't each team have like a 7-footer that could block field goals, especially the long ones, or when they're first and goal, they could just throw it up. Nobody could stop them.
Yeah, thank you for the call, Andy. I don't know if they're going to ever waste, and I say waste, a roster spot on having one guy to stand out there and do that. I would doubt, Andy. Thank you for the call, Andy. Twin Peaks, northeast side, 82nd and I-69. More Colts conversation with you. I got you if you're on hold coming up on the other side, too. Stephen Holder of ESPN. Don't go anywhere. Again, live at Twin Peaks on a Monday in which you were on a roller coaster ride, but it all turned out good. 7-5 with the Colts. Pacers in action tonight with the Celtics. More in the 5 o'clock hour. Don't go anywhere.
Select them, trade them, or just enjoy them.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
And with that sack, that now represents a new career high for Quiddy Pay. He's got 6.5. And the Colts get another block. It's Tony Brown with a block, recovered by the Colts. And Shagun Alubi chopped down at the 7-yard line. 2 of them today by the Colts on special teams as Tony Brown came in hard off the left edge for the second block in the second half for the Colts. And now they'll face it first and goal on offense.
Matt Taylor right there. One of these special teams plays, they got the special teams coordinator, Craig Aukerman, fired down in Nashville earlier today that helped lead to the Colts' overtime win over the Titans, a 7-5 record, staying firm right now in the 7-hole in the AFC playoff picture, and yet another reason why we're here. Twin Peaks, Northeast Side, 82nd and I-69. I've got to give a shout-out, though, to Father William, who is a big listener. His daughter Taylor is here right now. So from Taylor to William, shout out to William. Taylor was awesome just a moment ago with me during the break right here. Dev's the on-site engineer. It's James back at the studio. Spero Dedes of TNT and CBS. Spero's got the call with Greg Anthony of the in-season tournament quarterfinal Pacers Celtics tonight at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Tomorrow's show, Michael Pittman Jr., who has just been outstanding. He's a dog. He's going to join us tomorrow. Josh Schertz of the one-loss Indiana State Sycamores. My Trees and their head basketball coach joins us on the show tomorrow. The Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, if you're on hold, I'll get back to you in a second. Joining us from ESPN, ESPN.com, it is Stephen Holder. Stephen, I kind of mentioned this at the outset. I do a little bit of a monologue every day, and this is an amusement park roller coaster ride for a team that is good. Really no more, and they can be less, but really no more than good, but they can be at times if they play that way less. And I thought all you needed to know if you watched the fourth quarter of the overtime, because I had on my Twitter feed people wanting to ship Gardner Minshew off anywhere, and then just when they said that, he drops a couple of dimes, the game winner, they're 7-5, and there you are. This is the ultimate roller coaster ride.
I'm tired, man. I am tired. My head is spinning. And it's been like this all year. I mean, we had one of these back in Baltimore. Very similar sort of, ups and downs, and you don't know which way is up. It was that kind of day then, too. So I guess we should be used to this now. What I would say for the Colts is they have, more often than not, come out on top in those games. I mean, they lost that Cleveland game, certainly, and that was a roller coaster unto itself. We don't have to rehash that. But they have done well for themselves in these topsy-turvy types of games, and I think that says a lot about the character of this team. You just mentioned, are they good, or is the quarterback good? I actually don't know. Okay, I literally don't know if they're any good. And when I say good, I mean among the better teams in the NFL, right?
Sure. Yeah.
That's a debatable statement. It's eminently debatable. But they step up when they have to, and they got a lot of fortitude, man. This team has mental toughness. There are a lot of talented teams that will not be in the playoffs this year, okay? And there are more talented teams than the Colts, I imagine, that will not be in the playoffs. The difference is these guys got toughness and mental fortitude, and that can take you a long damn way.
And so can a schedule that's conducive of you winning. I flipped the switch, Stephen. I flipped the switch. I'm now not about, December, you can keep it interesting and keep the conversation going. I'm about, you're in position right now, given what you've done and given what's ahead of you to get to the postseason. I flipped that switch. How about you?
Yeah, they got to go get it, man. If they don't get there, I'd be disappointed at this point.
I would too.
I think they've done enough. Look, expectations can change. And if you raise the bar, then good for you. That's a good thing. They have raised the bar, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I don't think the Colts would have it any other way. So let's see what happens. Show me something, right? I mean, Shane Steichen, go win Coach of the Year, man. whatever. I don't care. I will say this. You mentioned Gardner Minshew at the beginning of this segment, and I've been like you. I mean, I've gotten those same messages. I have posted some of those messages myself. Okay? Like, he's exhausting, man. Okay? I will admit. I will say this, though. This is the unmitigated truth, though. That guy doesn't falter. He has made, in each of these crazy wins, he has made a play or plays, plural, at the end of those games that the other quarterback did not make. And I'm talking about even in Baltimore. There's a couple of throws in that game that he makes. I mean, look, they overcame some Gardner Minshew madness as well. I get it. But he did what he had to do in clutch time. Same in Germany against the Patriots. That was a god-awful offensive performance. But they're backed up third down and a gazillion yards in their own territory, and they got to get a first down. And he somehow breaks away from a sack, and he hits Josh Downs for 30 yards. I still don't know how he did it. And then yesterday, I mean, he did it time and time again down the stretch, to his credit. And he did not play well throughout that game. He not from wire to wire. There's no question about it. But if you're going to have a backup quarterback, you are going to deal with the ups and downs. That is baked into the cake. Deal with it, accept it, and just own it as a fan. What you want is a guy who can say, all right, I'm going to shake it off, and now I'm going to go make a play. And he did that multiple times yesterday. Last thing I would say, it was his best game, Minshew, and for this reason, not because of the yards or anything. It's a combination of the production and also not turning it over.
Yeah.
Right? He did.
Not screwing it up. Yeah, screwing it up. Yeah.
Yeah. When he got aggressive earlier in the season, he screwed it up. This time he didn't, for the most part.
Hey, Stephen Older's with us. I'll add to this, too. I have a term that I have not coined called Shane Shoe, because most oftentimes when there's a mistake made, it's because Shane Shoe, in this case Shane Steichen, puts Gardner Minshew in a spot that leaves him vulnerable, uncomfortable, and mistake-ridden. That's Shane Shoe. And it can work both ways. It can work both ways, as it did late in that overtime and led to a win, or as it almost cost them at the end of regulation when they had him throwing basically in the shadow of his own end zone, and I think all Colts fans about died. So, yeah, it can work both ways. Shane Shoe.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think you're onto something there. Can you patent a word? How does that work? Do you call Webster's? Or I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, the point is, I agree with you, and I think you are onto something. And so how do we feel about that? Here's my thoughts. I think at this point, you got to go down swinging. You know, like, I get it. Now, you can't go too crazy with it. You can't go too crazy because Minshew will get you in trouble. I get it, and I agree. But I would rather them take a shot. Like yesterday, go win the game. Don't try to, limp to the finish line. They went and won the game. I mean, they have enough talent to do it. It's just a matter of whether the quarterback can kind of bring it all together, right? And I mean, just think about it. Just think if they could get Alec Pierce involved down the stretch, if they could get the big plays back into their offense. I mean, that can hold you over until Taylor gets back. And, we'll see if Zach Moss can get it going. Maybe he can. I mean, I think that's very possible. But if that doesn't happen, you're going to need some big plays. And the running game yesterday, the Titans were not going to let them run it. There's no doubt about it. Now, I don't know how the rest of these teams are going to play them, but the quarterback had to make plays in that game or they would not have won. So, I mean, Shane can try to protect the quarterback, and he can try to kind of, work some kind of magic potion where he doesn't put the quarterback in jeopardy. And then sometimes it will work. But then there are games like yesterday when you have to say, all right, you got to step up and you got to go make the play. You're the quarterback. The ball is in your hand. And he did that, and Minshew got him there.
Yeah. That into regulation, though.
It's scary.
Yeah.
I get it.
I just think I think that he knows, he being Shane Steichen knows, and just does it anyway because either A, as you mentioned, he doesn't feel he has an alternative, or, as I have said before, I think sometimes he believes he's outsmarting the room a little bit. And I think both of those paths can lead you at a bit of a crossroads to whether you flip a coin, and if it's a good play, then maybe you end up winning. But if it's putting him in a bad spot, mistakes made, that can cost you. And, Stephen, we've lived in both worlds a couple of different times so far this year.
That's true, yeah. I think there is something to the idea that Shane Steichen gets a little bit cute at times, with what you're talking about, is he the smartest guy type of deal. That there's some truth to that. I would say more often than not, I think those situations, it really is a matter of his aggressiveness just getting the best of him. He is aggressive by nature. Okay, I go back to when he got hired, and we asked him about like his offensive philosophy, and this is the home of run the damn ball, right? So we were asking him like, hey, these guys like to play, physical football, is that your thing? And he was like, well, we're gonna throw the score and run the win. And I didn't know what that meant, but I think what it meant in retrospect was we're gonna throw the ball as much as possible, and then we're gonna ice it with the run game. Now that has changed clearly because things evolve, but it shows you what his mentality is, right? And I firmly believe in his heart of hearts, in a perfect world, he wants to throw the ball all over the place, all over the yard, So I don't know. I think he's had to rein himself in at times, given the quarterback situation and other situations around the team.
Stephen Holder joins us. There may be nothing to this whatsoever, and certainly you can't go back. It is what they say, water under the bridge now, and we'll find the timetable because obviously yesterday you would have loved to have had the services really of any kind of Jonathan Taylor. Before he set off to Southern California and got his thumb reattached or whatever they end up doing, was there anybody over there that maybe felt from what you had heard, from what anybody was talking about, that they kind of had wished that he had wrapped it up and played? And I know that we're talking about ball security implications here as well, but was there any common theme to maybe some wished he would have done that given this point of the season? Or was everybody on board ultimately with the procedure that he had?
Yeah, I didn't get that sense from anyone. I do think that they were worried about the ball security. It's his right hand, which obviously is a big variable here. You can use both hands, and running backs do, but that's your dominant hand. Obviously, you're naturally going to generally have the ball in that right hand. And if it was another finger, here's what I do think is true. If it was a different finger other than the thumb, it might have been a conversation. Right. I think the problem is the thumb has just too much to do with controlling the football. And and then particularly if you have to wrap it, then it gets bulkier and you don't have the grip. And so, I think that is – you open yourself up to problems. And then you do have Zach Moss. I'm not saying that was why they did it, but I mean, that is something to at least consider as well. So, maybe you don't risk it. And if you think you can get him back, for the playoffs, if you make it, then maybe it's the right play anyway.
Stephen Holder of ESPN, ESPN.com. Colts over the Titans in overtime yesterday. Final was 31-28. He's joining us via the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Somebody had mentioned this earlier, and I want to make sure I'm not leaving anything out. I had said, you know what, you really can't count on anything with this group. I mean, sometimes this shows up and plays well, other times it doesn't, and kind of more of the same, both sides of the football here. And Nick had mentioned, hey, the offensive line has shown up this year, and I will mention Tony Spero Jr. has had much, to me, a greater impression with this group than what we witnessed with Chris Strasser this time a year ago, certainly. And then he had mentioned the defensive line and getting after the quarterback. As of late, that has been the case. But what has been the most consistent, high-value position group that has maintained this season, win or loss, in your estimation for this team?
I think it's between the offensive line and defensive line, but I'm going to give the edge to the offensive line. And the reason for that is the struggles against the run without Grover Stewart. That was a little bit concerning for me. And I get it. They're missing their best run defender on the defensive line. So I understand. But it is what it is. I mean, the offensive line has had guys missing too, right? I mean, Ryan Kelly's missed, 3-4 games? Braden Smith has been in and out of the lineup. I believe only Quentin Nelson and Will Fries have started every game. 2 out of 5 guys. So you're talking about 3 starters that have missed not just one game, but multiple games. All of them, all 3 of the other starters. So that's pretty. That's a pretty big obstacle to have to get around as an offensive line, and we have seen what the effects of that can be. So they've overcome that, and I think despite some of the sacks Gardner Minshew has taken over the course of the season, I put that more on the quarterback than the offensive line. I think I think they have given him adequate time to throw the ball and done a pretty good job. And they've done it without, really a mobile quarterback for generally the whole season, other than a couple of games. So I'll give you an interesting tidbit. So I found Matt Ryan yesterday at the game. He was doing the commentary, and we had a very interesting conversation. And one of the things that I won't reveal all of it, but I mean, because it's the first time he's ever been honest about anything. But the one thing I would say that I could share is that, we talked about the offensive line, and he went out there on the field. He gave Quentin a big hug and all those guys. I mean, it was great to see him interact with the guys. You could see like they really respect him, and he's tight with that offensive line. Those guys really love Matt Ryan. You could tell. But anyhow, what he said to me, or what we were talking about, is I said, this offensive line. I mean, it's a whole different performance this year. And I said, it's the same guys. And he just gave me this smirk, and he looked at me and said, isn't that interesting? And so it was his way of saying, like they had it in them. But, he really attributed it to the coaching this year being vastly improved on that offensive line. And it has made a big difference. There's no doubt about it. Tony Spero Jr. learned well at the feet of his father. There's no doubt about it.
So Stephen Holder, who joins us, Michael Pittman Jr. is coming on with me tomorrow. He has been really good this year. What type of extension is he earning? And is there any way, shape, or form that the Colts would look elsewhere on this? I can't imagine. He just is a type of – like Gorman said yesterday on the Colts pregame huddle, he's a dog. And he is. He's a dog. He plays through stuff. He plays through pain and injuries. He just, to me, is what you want. And compound that question with how much of an effect has Reggie Wayne had on him individually in particular?
Okay, so the first question, in terms of the contract, look, let's start with this. This is all you have to do. You have to ask yourself, okay, if they were to let Michael Pittman walk, I'm not suggesting that's going to happen. I think it would be the dumbest thing that Chris Ballard has ever done, because you finally got something at that position, okay? Finally, you got something going at that position, and to let him walk out the door, I mean, you'd have to be a complete idiot. I'm just going to be blunt. And I don't think Chris Ballard's an idiot, so I think he's going to get it done. Now, whether they franchise him, whether they can work something out, that's a different matter. And it's going to get difficult because this is going to be a big contract, people. There's no way around it. Like, you can sit there and second guess it and quibble or deal with it. It's going to be a lot of money, man. Like a massive amount of money. And that your definition of that may differ than mine, person to person. But he's going to get upper echelon wide receiver money. I'm not saying Tyreek Hill money, but it's going to be one of the more expensive guys. Look, when you're the last guy to sign, you get one of the best deals out there, and particularly if he makes it to free agency, because I've heard a lot about the upcoming wide receiver class. The truth is, we know this. Every year we do this. We talk about this class is going to be amazing. Half of those guys ain't going to get to the market. It ain't happening. And frankly, Michael Pittman might not either. But the bottom line is, if he does, or even if he doesn't, it's going to be a massive amount of money. All of the other drafted players the Colts have brought along, their elite players on their team who they have brought along to second contracts, they have all of them, they have gotten top of market contracts, period. And I mean, Shaq Leonard, Quentin Nelson, Braden Smith, I mean, Jonathan Taylor, right? I mean, when no one said it could be done, he even got a top of market deal in this particular environment. So for running back, so there's a track record there, and I know it was hard for Taylor, but eventually it did happen. So I would be stunned. I would be very, very stunned if it did not happen. I do agree. Like he just has something about him. He's not a burner. He's not going to go run past the whole defense. He's not going to make some freakish, play that's going to lead SportsCenter. That's not what he does. But when you need a play, who are they going to? 99% of the time, they're going to Pittman. Okay, and here's the thing: what makes you a tough cover? When the defense knows you're getting the ball, they throw you the ball, and you still make a play. So I got no issue with Pittman. I think, frankly, I want 53 Pittmans on my team. That's how I see it.
What's Reggie Wayne done for him in particular? And when we talk about the emergence of Alec Pierce yesterday is a product of the ball finally getting to him more than anything else. I want you to play off of both of those subjects here.
Yeah, listen, look, and good timing. Look, my latest story that posted today, I want everybody to read it if you haven't had a chance. Not because it's like I think I wrote some great story. No, because it's about Reggie Wayne, and it's about the decision process that he went through to come back this year. I don't think he was 100% there. Last year was his first year coaching. It was a complete disaster, utter disaster. And if I'm him, I got the option to go hang out at the beach for the rest of my life or come do this. Reggie's so funny. Like we go out to practice some days and he's like, it's dark when I get here and it's dark when I leave. And I'm like, and Reggie's a guy who likes to have a good time. I ran into him at the cigar bar down in Nashville the other night, like that's Reggie, like that's what he does. And to see him commit himself to this has been really fun. I've enjoyed it. I've been watching Reggie ever since our Miami days. And, I saw Chuck Pagano and his wife at the game last week, and they revealed to me that they had been on Reggie's case like, man, you need to be a coach. Like years ago, right after he retired, he sat in their living room from what Tina Pagano was telling me, and they were like, Reggie, like you have a lot to give. You should be a coach. And he's like, nah, coach, I'm not ready. So it's been a real metamorphosis to see him evolve from a guy who's like, I don't know about that, to now being hungry and wanting more responsibility and pouring into these young receivers. Alec Pierce, that guy's perspective is a direct reflection of Reggie Wayne. He was telling me yesterday about how, Reggie imparted on him how he never got the ball when he was in his, first, second, third year because Marvin got all the balls. He said, I looked it up. I mean, Marvin had 205 targets in, 2002, I believe? I mean, it's insane. That is insane. 205 targets. Reggie's like, I was getting 3 or 4 targets a game. And Reggie Wayne was a far more advanced receiver than Alec Pierce is at this point. And even he couldn't get the ball. So it has given Alec Pierce a real perspective like, okay, I'm in good company here, and it's going to come, and I got to be patient. And he really has been. And Shane Steichen gave Alec Pierce credit today for just he shows up, he works, he never says boo. And that's what you want, man. That's a great quality, and Reggie Wayne has a lot to do with that.
Could yesterday have gone any better considering the circumstances? I mean, obviously the win in overtime, the sweep, you're 7-5, and then everything that's going on around you with the losses, with Kenny Pickett now going down, which doesn't look like he's going to be available week after next on that Saturday when they're here. Broncos losing to the Texans because you still, if you get the Texans back down to you could do something with them with the remainder of the schedule. Has it all worked out for the Colts yesterday?
It's extremely favorable. There's no doubt about it. I mean, sometimes you don't get any breaks, and then sometimes you get a lot of breaks. And they really have, from, as you said, just the lineup of quarterbacks. I mean, they've faced numerous backup quarterbacks as it is, and then they're getting one next week, probably the next 2 weeks, right? So there's no doubt about it. And then the other results around the league as well. So when you get those kind of breaks, that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. You have to go take advantage. And that's why I say the math has changed. This isn't just like, for kicks. This isn't for kicks now. Like, go show something. Everything you do now is a building block for next year. So you can add some real building blocks here. If you go out there and you talk about establishing a culture, go win down the stretch. That will establish a hell of a culture. So they've made this interesting, but it's about more than that at this point. This ain't about making it interesting. This is about, let's see how far you can go with it. Show us something.
Juju Brents come back next week, you think, after missing, 5 weeks, I think it is now, the rookie?
I'm done projecting this kid. He hasn't done anything wrong. I'm just saying, I just don't know. I don't know what that deal is, and I have not had anyone really shed any real light on it. Juju told me like a couple of weeks ago he thought he was really close, and so I thought maybe this was the week. But no, so I don't know. I don't have a lot of intel on that. It's been a weird situation there. I will say, in defense of the other guys, I mean, guys like Dallas Baker. I'm sorry, not Dallas Baker. Excuse me, Darryl Baker.
Yeah,
have stepped up. I mean, look, this was a real problem like a month ago. That cornerback situation was like a massive problem. And I got to say, I mean, look, there were a couple issues. Certainly, the rookie Jalen had some issues against Hopkins yesterday. Look, that wasn't pretty. I get it, but there have been some. They at least have stabilized that a little bit more, and that's been a good sign. But they really could use Juju Brents. And when he gets back, though, I wonder if it may take him a week or two to really get back to where he needs to be, though.
Hey, really quick here, too. Braden Smith, any news, any word regarding that?
No update yet. Let's see how the week goes there. But it's been a tough season for him. He's been in and out a lot.
Yep.
But, look, Freeland, it may pay off that he got that experience early in the season. I wondered about the wisdom of putting that guy out there as a swing tackle, as a late-round rookie or a mid-round pick as a rookie, and he learned some hard lessons, against guys like Myles Garrett. It was not pretty all the time, but those snaps, they're an investment, so that hopefully they help him down the stretch if he has to play.
Stephen Holder's got a new article out there, too, we just talked about, and a whole lot more for you. ESPN, ESPN.com, and the Colts riding a win streak, and right now locked down the 7-hole as it stands at this moment in the AFC playoff picture, and going to Cincinnati. We'll see what the Bengals do tonight against the Jaguars, and Bengals host the Colts coming up next Sunday. Stephen Holder on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I always appreciate you, man, on a Monday. We'll do it again next week. Enjoy the week.
All right, brother. I'll see you soon.
Stephen Holder on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. We're at Twin Peaks, Castleton, 82nd and I-69 on a repeal prohibition Monday. The 20s outfits working here at Twin Peaks. Slide by and check us out for the end of the show here. Colts Roundtable, top of the hour. Pacers pregame after that. Celtics Pacers in-season tournament coming up later on tonight. Me and you on the other side of 239-1070. Don't go anywhere. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Butler University's men's basketball action continues at Hinkle Fieldhouse this week with games
way to go through life, son.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
Of their timeouts remaining after taking one on that last possession. Meanwhile, the Colts get home. They get a sack with Samson Ebicom inside the 5-yard line, back to the 3. That's a loss of 6, and Samson Ebicom now has a team-high 7 sacks on the season.
That's a big deal right there defensively. A little bit of consistency, as you can see, getting after the quarterback during this win streak, too, for the Colts. Again, a winner over the Titans in overtime yesterday. They're now 7-5. That's been the conversation so far today. Stephen Holder a moment ago, the podcast from Stephen Holder, ESPN. It's find it 1075thefan.com for the podcast of that. And Spero Dedes, who's got the call on TNT, along with Greg Anthony tonight. The Celtics and the Pacers quarterfinal of the first ever play-in tournament in the NBA. And you can catch Spero and you can catch Greg Anthony. And again, thanks to Spero Dedes, who's always really cool with us whenever he is in town. That's on TNT coming up later on tonight. I believe as well you can find it on Bally Sports. We love our friends Kristen Airy, Quinn Buckner, and Jeremiah Johnson and Eddie Gill, too. Plus, right here on The Fan with Mark Boyle and Pat Boylan and company later on tonight, too. So a variety of ways. And, you know, the best part about it, too, with all this crying and whining over Channel 13, WTHR, and NBC, and paying for Peacock and all that, radio, my friends. Derek, is radio free? Radio's free. Radio's free. Now, sometimes I gripe about it. I wish we had – I want to have all avenues taken care of. Don't get me wrong. That's why I'm probably one of the few around here that still would embrace an AM as we used to back then. But I understand as we move forward. But, yeah, free, interesting, entertaining, at least about 5 minutes every 3 hours from 3 until 6 right here. Nah, man, free. Always here. Always embracing. That is what we are. Yeah, radio. Radio gets results. I think that used to be an old ad campaign back in the day. All right, 239-1070. Again, live from Twin Peaks on the northeast side. Let's go to Adam up next today. Hello, Adam. How are you?
Hey, JMV. How you doing on this Victory Monday?
Victory Monday, Adam. Sound off. Go ahead.
I just want to say a couple things. Shout out to Tony Brown. Shout out to my boy Alex Pierce for the couple catches he did. Shout out to Michael Pittman Jr. I mean, shout out to the whole game. I mean, it was good. It was a sports arousal day. I will tell you that.
Yeah, you know what? I expected that too. And you know what? It was an up and down fourth quarter and overtime too. It looked like maybe. I don't even know if is flaccidity a word? It looks like maybe that was ready to set in, but yeah, the sports arousal took over with that win now that they're 7-5. And as somebody that's covered this team forever and know the Colts fans around here, you guys deserve that because last year was a blank show. It was disappointing the year before last. You've had few and far between, so take it and run with it. You don't have to apologize for a schedule that is soft, it's conducive to winning. Have some fun with it, by all means.
Definitely will. And I'm thinking about looking into tickets for this weekend to go see the game against Cincinnati.
Why don't you? Go down there and have a great day in Cincinnati.
Oh, I'm thinking about it real good.
Adam, I appreciate that, man. Hang in there. Thank you for the call. Seriously, yeah, it got a bit flimsy there. Yeah, it got a bit flimsy there. There are moments, too, and I mentioned this earlier in my opening monologue regarding this being so up and down, this team and its quarterback, and then how you felt in the fourth, and then what 2 passes can do to maybe not change your overall opinion, but to make you feel better about it right now for both the team and the quarterback. 239-1070. Rob is up next. Rob, thank you for the call. What's up?
Hey, how you doing, brother?
Great, Rob. Go ahead.
Hey, just a couple things. I love what the Colts are doing. I think Alec Pierce is a little underrated. Steichen, I like what he's doing. I just wish he would take points when they're there more often because in all of our overtime games, there were chances to take points, and he missed out on them. and but I still think he is coaching and he's learning more about what Minshew can and can't do. He's not the perfect quarterback, but he never stops trying. He's got a lot of heart. And
Minshew. Sometimes you get the combination, and as it worked late in the game, in overtime it worked, but you thought at the end of regulation maybe it wasn't going to work. And there are two different ends to Minshew right now. And yesterday ended up working. That's good.
Yeah, and I hope the Pacers can go out and beat Boston tonight. Do you think they can?
Well, they can. If they can mix in maybe a stop or two, that would be nice.
We have the athletes to play defense.
I just think Boston brings to the table really a lot of what, and we saw, maybe it's just me thinking how they put $150 plus on the Pacers first time out in Boston is they just bring to the table a lot of what the Pacers struggle with, and really the Pacers struggle with anybody out there that's throwing the basketball. So that's problematic defensively. So I think it's going to be very difficult, but it's at home. Crowd should be amped up. It's kind of weird it's on a Monday night, right? But I just
hope we can celebrate tomorrow. That's all I care about.
I'm right there. It'd be weird. And thank you for the call too, Rob. I appreciate it. Help me out here, James. So if the Pacers were to win tonight, that means that we're done. Is that tip time at 4:30 or is the pregame at 4:30?
Pregame is at 4:30, I believe.
So I wonder if anybody has let Brent Halverson know this is a possibility on Thursday. Do we know?
I do not know if anybody has let him know.
Because that is Larceny Bourbon Locks. Where are we at? AJ's, I believe. Is that right, Devin? AJ's, I believe. Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots. Up near Geist off of Fall Creek, I believe. So, yeah, if the Pacers win, that's a 4:30 pregame. Man, that's going to cut into the show big time on Thursday right there. We'll see. Pacers Celtics later on tonight right here. And let's go to Jonathan next at 239-1070. Jonathan, thank you for the call. How are you?
Doing pretty good, JMV. How you doing this evening?
Fantastic. I'm at Twin Peaks. It's the roaring 20s in here right now. Great food. I had a Bloody Mary, ice-cold beer. You can't beat it. Great place.
Absolutely. Sounds like a plan right there. Just
it
a
is,
couple
buddy.
quick things before you wrap up tonight. Talking about, I know a lot of people are going to give Coach Steichen, obviously a lot of the headaches with his decisions or play calling. But with that being said, with the bumps he's taken naturally as his first year as a head coach, with everything he's dealt with, all the injuries, Jonathan Taylor situation in the beginning, I feel it's what you said earlier tonight, changing the culture there in the locker room. And I feel he's done a real big part of that. If they make a pretty decent run, not going crazy out there winning the Super Bowl, but if they make a pretty good run with everything he's had to deal with as a first-year head coach, am I crazy to say Coach of the Year candidate, or is that just me?
Well, I mean, you can slot. He should be right now. If you're going to have a conversation, he should be a part of the conversation.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a part of the conversation. But if you're having that right now, he should be a part of it. So
Right. Yeah, obviously a lot of football left to play. And just a second thing real quick, I'm talking about our defense. Like you said earlier, a lot of, some consistency from the pass rush, during this winning streak. With us getting Big Grove back, I feel that our defense could really take another step up because you already have younger players, actually, stepping up and, taking their game to a decent, consistent level. And if you have him, and we know what he did for our defense, obviously great at stopping the run, and another threat that you had to worry about, which freed up Buckner and them boys too. I just think that our defense could maybe take another step up when we finally get him back.
Yeah, you got to count on it. You got to count on it because that's what they expect from him. You absolutely have to count on that because that's an aspect to where, one backup, two backups, you rarely, if ever, saw it made up for, but they did survive for the most part without it. But, yeah, I think you can count on that. And, the other part about the Coach of the Year conversation, like DeMeco Ryans, for example, should be, I would think, at the top of the list. And that's within your own division. You got a lot of names out there, but conversationally speaking, if you're going to have it, you can go ahead and lump Shane Steichen's name in there for sure. Yep.
Yeah. Just everything he's dealt with. Obviously, Richardson going down for the year and everything swirling around him. And just for me, just in my opinion, for him to navigate through all of that, in addition to, like I said, just the natural bumps he's going to take as a first-year coach, and for him to get, us playing, like you said earlier in the segment, talking about how Matt Ryan said these guys are playing a lot harder. I think that's a direct line to Steichen, having these guys, like every coach needs to do, get everybody bought in on the same page. And if they're doing that, I just, like you said, this could just be building blocks for something even bigger and greater come next year, say, hopefully when the offense starts to get their stuff together, and then you could actually really see something start to take shape.
Yeah, and thank you for the call. I appreciate that. Taking advantage of the schedule, which they have before them right now, and this opportunity, where I expect them now to be a playoff team just by looking at it, but also for the fans being able to embrace a season where, for the most part, all of this is going to be a much welcomed surprise and successful. Even with the mistakes, even with all that is played into it and the injuries, you can look at it as, hey, these types of seasons are oftentimes more exciting, these surprises, than when you are picked to do something top level, top notch. So soak it up while it's here, too. No doubt about that. Quick break. We'll come back to Twin Peaks. Final time here. Colts Roundtable, top of the hour. Celtics Pacers coming up after that. Don't go anywhere. 93.5.
Did anybody knock anymore?
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Colts in the white, Titans in the all-navy blue. Tennessee leads 17-7. First and 10. Minshew dropped the ball in the shotgun, regains, and then fires it down the left sideline, and that is incomplete, I believe, for Kylan Granson. Or no, they have signaled that's a catch. A great adjustment on the ball for Kylan, who makes the grab and then falls down inside the 30-yard line down to the 28 for a first down.
Yeah. So Matt Taylor right there, the voice of the Colts, and the Colts a winner. I've been talking about that all day long. Again, thank you all for joining us as a part of this show today. And the Colts now 7-5 with that win, as we talked about a little bit earlier. 31-28 in overtime is the final. Also had mentioned with Spero Dedes of TNT, who's got the call tonight, that the Celtics and the Pacers, the quarterfinals of the in-season tournament in the NBA. Rick Carlisle has just said he expects. Now, Tyrese Halliburton had an upper respiratory infection on Saturday night and missed that game, that win, 144-129 over the Heat. He did not play in that game. He and Obi Toppin are both expected to play this evening in a game that, of course, you can hear right here. You can see, I'm assuming that Bally Sports is still doing it tonight, and, of course, TNT with Spero Dedes joining us a little bit earlier is also a site that you can watch that. Hey, tomorrow's show, Josh Schertz is the head coach of Indiana State. The net rating for the first time was released, and I really don't know what that means other than the fact that Indiana State was 22nd in it. And I said, yeah, I watched Indiana State in Bradley on Saturday, and the Sycamores look good. Ryan Conwell from Pike High School was a transfer from South Florida, gives them nice minutes. Isaiah Swope, who's a transfer from Southern Indiana. Isaiah, I think he went to high school at Castle down in Southern Indiana. Nice minutes for them. Robbie Avila played fantastically again. So Indiana State looks legit. Josh Schertz will talk about his squad, their start, and more coming up on tomorrow's show. Greg Rakestraw tomorrow. Brad Spielberger of PFF is going to join us coming up tomorrow. And Michael Pittman Jr., wide receiver of the Colts, also on the show coming up tomorrow. So, again, great place tonight here at Twin Peaks if you have time to stop by. Now, I'm sad because the awesomeness that is Taylor, her shift has ended. She's still hanging out, but plenty of staff to make sure you get the great food, the ice-cold beer, the great cocktails and the drinks. And you got plenty to watch tonight, too. Monday Night Football, Week 13. That ends this evening with the Bengals and the Jaguars. I mentioned the Pacers and the Celtics tonight. And the Boilermakers and the Iowa Hawkeyes. Purdue loses on the road, loses to Northwestern in overtime on Friday night, and then loses the number one ranking. Arizona is now the number one team. And then a week from Saturday, you get Purdue and Arizona down at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. We'll see if that lasts. But Purdue gets Iowa to try to get their Big Ten season even at a game apiece. That's coming up later on tonight. I believe 7 o'clock is that tip from Mackey Arena in West Lafayette. IU Michigan coming up tomorrow. Butler back in action coming up tomorrow. So you got a lot going on this week, and really a great place to watch all of your sports and to be a part of a great atmosphere is right here. And somebody that knows that even better than I do, Daryl's at 239-10. Oh, Daryl's bailed. Daryl had a way that I was going to get Peacock for free. I think a lot of you do. I want to thank you for that. I probably should just go ahead and pay for it, right? Peacock. Watch IU Michigan coming up tomorrow night and whatever else they have to offer. Yeah, you got Jack Collinsworth and Stephen Bardo on the call on Peacock coming up tomorrow with that particular matchup with IU and Michigan. And game 2, IU looked good against Maryland on Friday evening, too. Maryland may not be what Maryland has been in the past, but IU looked good against Maryland. Couldn't quite break away to I thought they were going to run away and win by like 25 or something. They didn't do that, but still convincingly won that game against the Terps. And I want to thank everybody for being a part today. Great to see you, Derek. Thanks for coming out, too. The fine staff here at Twin Peaks. Every start of the month, we find ourselves right here either here on the northeast side or down on the south side at the 2 Indy area Twin Peaks locations. Got to thank them for that. Dev, as always, thank you very much. And James back in the studio, too. Awesome time with James, as always. And, again, tomorrow's show and the rest of the week. James, when are you out? Wednesday?
Yep.
Hey, look, Daryl's walking back in here right now. How long do we have on the clock here? Hey, Daryl, you got 30 seconds. Can you make it? 30 seconds is all we have here. Thank you. Hey, back in studio tomorrow. In studio tomorrow and then on Wednesday. And you're on vacation, right, as of Wednesday, James?
Yep,
Correct?
I'm gone from Wednesday to Wednesday.
Yeah, Kurt Gerald's going to be in here. What do you got, Daryl? Quick. Oh, FanDuel account. I got you. Oh, I was talking about college basketball, though, on Peacock, so, yeah. Appreciate that, Daryl. Daryl's a man right there. Always good to see you, too. Again, thanks to everybody here at Twin Peaks. Coming up next, Colts Roundtable. You got Matt, Joe, and Rick for that. Mark Boyle, Pat Boyland, Eddie Gill, and the gang. Pacers pregame coming up after that. We'll talk about the Pacers tomorrow. Michael Pittman Jr., Josh Schertz of Indiana State, Greg Rakestraw, and Brad Spielberger of PFF. All coming up tomorrow. We'll begin at 3. Never, ever miss a minute. It's 93.5 and 107.